The Inner Sanctum presents the Wednesday Whip Around.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Wednesday Whip Around. I have two very special guests joining me today to talk about everything that's been happening in the sporting world over the last the last week I should say, since the last edition of the Whip Around. And joining me today are two very young, fine gentlemen to talk all things sport. I've got Thomas Gradden. Thomas, welcome aboard, mate.
By popular demand, after my first successful appearance.
Yes, you're back after your first successful appearance. The popular demand was actually just you in my DMs, but that's okay. And also joining for his debut on the Wednesday Whip Around, Dominic Benetti. Dom, welcome aboard, mate.
Thanks for having me, mate. I was a late scratch. Todd was a late scratch, and I've come in off the bench as I regularly do on the football pods. I'm very excited to be here. A lot of things to talk about.
We're going to be dedicating this whip around to a very special man who unfortunately passed away over the weekend. Shane Warne, 52 years of age, died of a heart attack in Thailand on Friday evening. A big shock to the sporting world, a big shock to the Australian culture, but most importantly, a big shock to everyone in the world, considering the harsh circumstances of his passing and the unexpected circumstances as well, because he was just one of those people that everyone loved, everyone enjoyed witnessing his life both on the field and off the field. He was just a joy to watch. And Dom, I'm going to first of all ask about your reaction, mate. Friday night, 1:00 in the morning. Where were you? What were you doing? Were you asleep? And yeah, how was your reaction to the news?
So I was up at 1 a.m. I'd just finished an article for the Sanctum. Thought, great, I'm done for the night. Go fill up my water bottle. It's 1:01 a.m. I'll never forget looking at the time exactly. Open up Facebook, and the first thing I see is Fox Cricket's, like 30 seconds ago, Shane Warne's died. And just reading that, like, my mind couldn't comprehend it at the time. I just didn't want to believe it. And first thing you do is go to Google, type it in, and nothing else had come up because the news was so fresh. And I sent it to the Sanctum chat, and we all just kind of accepted it together. And it was really, really tough. I kind of just laid down in my bed for like 40 minutes and just like looked at the wall. I just couldn't believe it. It was devastating.
Thomas, mate, tell me about your reaction to the news. It was, as Dom said, tough to probably swallow, a pill that we didn't probably expect. And just tell us about your reaction, mate.
Actually, I was quite similar to Dom. I also had finished an article for the Sanctum and was just sitting back having a drink to celebrate finishing. And then I was just about to go to bed, to be honest. It was like 1 a.m. My dad had gone to bed, and I was just, finishing off my last drink on the couch. Then, of course, I see Dom's message in the chat. Naturally, I raced to Twitter, see the article itself, type it into Google, and I'm just in total shock. I could not believe what I'm reading. I thought it was a hoax. I've gone and run up to tell my dad, and he's just gone to bed. So he's going, "What the hell's going on here?" And I'm the same. Like, I literally flicked on the television to see if anything had come up on the news yet, and there was nothing. And I sat there for like 40 minutes or something, just in shock and taking it all in.
Yeah, I was the same, to be honest. I went up. I just got home. I actually wasn't like you two doing the hard work and writing some Sanctum articles. I was out and about. Got home, ready to go to bed, and just checked my phone one last time. I had a message from a mate, and he said, "Is this real?" Like, he sent me a screenshot of the Fox Cricket article, and he was like, "Is this real?" And I've gone onto social media, and there it was. I was like you, Dom, 1:01 a.m. I'll never forget it. It just sticks in my mind to see Shane Warne dead. Like, Shane Warne has passed away, and I'm thinking, this is going to be a hoax. Like, Rod Marsh just passed away not long before, a day before. And I'm thinking, oh, they've got this wrong. Surely it's not right. And everyone's asleep in my house. I'm looking actually for people to talk to, because like, we're going off in the Sanctum chats and everything, and like, everyone else is asleep in my house, and I'm just doing laps around the hallways, like, just saying, no, this can't be real. This can't be happening. I grew up with this guy watching cricket and just seeing him absolutely dominate the scene early on. And I'll never forget the 2006-7 Ashes campaign here in Australia. And us regaining the Ashes and amazing Adelaide and the farewell tour, the MCG 700th wicket, like all those memories came rushing back because of the announcement of his passing. And I tell you what, I didn't get a lot of sleep that night. That was a hard night to go to sleep to because he had such an impact on everyone. No matter if you met him, if you loved him, if you hated him or loathed him, English fans, he just had an impact on people that even people that didn't even like cricket. There was a massive impact that he had. And Dom, just tell us about the impact he had on you, your younger self, cricket wise. Just how was his impact on yourself?
Well, Warney for me, as a young cricket fan growing up in the mid 2000s, was just everything. Like you were in awe. Even as a kid, you don't really understand the game too much, but you just know, like, how does he get the ball to spin like that? And even in his later days in the Big Bash, and he's had this aura about him when he was playing for the Stars. You're just like, this is a genuine superstar of the game and Australia in general. He's just a living icon, and he loved that aura, and he really deserved it. But for me, it's just like how much of an impact he had on people that didn't even watch cricket. A lot of my mates don't watch cricket, but when we get backyard cricket going, they were there going, now Warney's coming in with a leggy. And it's so sad how present he was over the last month, in January and even February when the cricket's finishing off, and he was just there every day, and he's making these comments about the team, and he was always in the news cycle. So he had an impact on me both in his cricketing career and post media career, because you just tell he was an absolute genius of the game when he's doing the lunchtime breaks and he's showing them how to spin the ball. And he's just a legend on and off the field.
Tom, tell us about his impact on your love for cricket, your childhood, and what stood out for you.
Well, Warney for me was everybody's favourite. I mean, even if you weren't a big cricket fan, you knew who Shane Warne was. I distinctly remember when the Stars became the Stars, when the Big Bash was overhauled about 10 years ago, I think, or thereabouts, and Warney was announced as the captain for the Stars. Like, that got me on board the Stars. And it's something that I still remember, going to the cricket and getting a chance to watch Warney in action as in Stars colours, because I didn't really get to see much of it, as obviously I was not aware of him at his peak of his powers. But even then, I still remember the 5-0 whitewash in the Ashes series, the 700th wicket. That was his last wicket as well. And I'm just, well, not last, but one of his last wickets as well. And it's just, even at the end of his career, the man was still performing at his peak. And it was always brilliant to watch.
Yeah, have to agree. And I think, like, for myself, the impact that he had post his career was pretty much just as important as he did playing. You look at the way that he would perform on camera, for Fox Cricket, or back in his early days at Channel 9. I remember his first commentary stint on Channel 9, and I just wanted to hear what Shane Warne had to say. Like, he'd do a stint every half an hour, 3 hours apart, and I'd be like, get Ian Healy out of the comm box, get this and that out of the. I want to hear Shane Warne talk. I want to hear what he has to say about the game, and to hear him in the commentary box was just as important, because he was able to have an impact on people that might have just be watching the cricket briefly for the day, or be watching on their phone or something, and just the way that the way he transcended cricket while playing, but also the way he had that that special comment that would make everyone else think about cricket differently than, say, someone else in the commentary box wouldn't. His opinion on the Ashes, the way cricket should be played, and even the last Ashes series, his commentary might not have been the greatest, but everyone was still talking about what Warney was saying, and he did it with heart, he did it with passion, and that's all you can happily say about Warney, is the fact that he put his heart on his sleeve. He had passion for the game. He had passion for people and for people to learn and educate about cricket. And I think the lasting legacy he's going to have is not just the way he spun that ball, but also the way he could spin into your head and develop a bit of education about cricket. I did want to say as well, we'll go around the table, go around the whip around table, and give a highlight of your personal favourite highlight of Warnie on the field. Dom, we'll start with you. What's your personal favourite, mate? What stands out?
Well, everyone's obviously going to say the ball of the century, and rightfully so. And there's too many, but I wrote this in the Sanctum memorial piece. It was his on-fight field with Marlon Samuels. Like, honestly, that's one of my favorite moments ever. And he said, "You want to grab some more people?" And then he just goes right at him. And for me, it was just like Warnie showing that he is just so unfiltered, and he's exactly the same person he is off the field, on the field. There is no two sides about Warnie. If he doesn't like you, he's going to let you know. And just the passion he had for the game, it was a big bash game. Like, the players don't have too much passion about it, and you could just see how passionate he was about what really was a meaningless game. So I think that just really showed everything, all his love about cricket. And it's an odd memory, but there's too many on the pitch to pick from one, so I'll go for that one.
Grats, give us yours, mate.
It just has to be the ball of the century. I mean, I must have watched that at least a dozen times on Friday night in memory of the great man, and I still don't know how he did it. It was honestly the audio, like the audience. In the past, I've heard whenever a wicket's taken, right, the crowd just erupt, right? But there, it's just this stunned silence. And I don't know whether it was the mostly English crowd or people absolutely dumbfounded at what they just saw. Like, balls are not supposed to do that.
Yeah, they are. It still baffles me how that ball spun, and even like that ball was referenced in so many other sports. Like, we'll take it back. I'll go back to the Angus Monfrey's goal showdown, 2013, where Angus Monfrey's kicked the ball and then it bounced at right angles, and you just hear Tim Watson in commentary say, Gradden is still looking at his stumps saying, "What happened?" Like, that ball had such an impact that it's jumped to other sports as a reference, which is incredible. But I reckon combine that with his 700th Boxing Day, getting Andrew Strauss around the legs, which was vintage Shane Warne, would probably have to be my favourite. And just the occasion, like Boxing Day at the home of cricket, the MCG, and the best part about it was he took a fifer that day as well. Just announcing his retirement is just, I think, probably one of the more special wickets. It's right up there. It's probably not the greatest of wickets in terms of him spinning the ball and the amazement of it. It's just the occasion that makes it such a special one. Which brings me to my next topic about Warnie is his farewell. The MCG statue, the Great Southern Stand, going to be renamed about him. Dom, is there anything else we can do to make sure that this man gets the ultimate send-off?
I mean, you could definitely look at rename. I know a lot of trophies are named after the former players. You could definitely look at that. Feel like even if there's an academy in Victoria, name it after him. There's just Warnie, I feel like, is one of the only people that his memory will live forever, regardless of naming rights. It's like there's few athletes that have passed away that they'll just be remembered forever. Kobe Bryant's one of them, and Warnie's the other one. You'll never forget him. But I would like to see something like that, even if they named an award after him or open something up in his honor. I think the statue of the MCG is already there, and there's just so much you can do. But for someone like Warnie, it's just he's going to be remembered regardless.
Grats about the farewell. Give us your thoughts, mate. What do you think we should do for Shane Warne? Is there something special that we could do to even lift his memory even further?
I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think we could ever do enough to highlight the career of Shane Warne. I mean, he's got the Great Southern Stand to be renamed after him. He's got his statue at the MCG that's adorned with baked beans and meat pies and BBs and smokes. He's got the state funeral to come. I mean, we could sprinkle his ashes into the MCG turf. We could name cricket ovals, academies, trophies, plaques, you name it. I don't think it'll ever be enough. Like, that's how that's how important Shane Warne was to the game of cricket.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly said. Just the way, like, Dom, I like the way as well you mentioned Kobe. I read somewhere that Shane Warne was like the Kobe of cricket. The way he left and just the sudden loss has had that such an impact across the cricketing world and the sporting world. And I think, you yell Kobe when you throw a paper ball into a bin, like you're bowling warnings out the back, you're yelling bold Shane when you're playing backyard cricket. Like, it's the way we can farewell him is probably going to be as much as you can do with a state, state farewell and funeral and everything, renaming stands and statues and awards. But his memory and his farewell is going to be every time a kid bowls in the backyard and someone says bold Shane, or having a beer and a smoke and putting a couple of bets on, and that's the Shane Warne aura about him. I think that's the best way he's going to be farewelled, is the fact that he's going to be farewelled every day, doing everyday things, just being an everyday person like he was. So, God, it's actually tough to talk about. It's when you start getting into it. Cricket wise, on the field, Australia, and we're just seeing the Australia and Pakistan first test. How do you think the impact of Shane Warne's loss is going to affect cricket today, Thomas?
I mean, how would you feel knowing that somebody who's so important to you, like in the middle of a test, just so suddenly? I mean, and to top off the sudden passing over, well, not exactly sudden, but the death of Rod Marsh as well. Like, that's two massive personal blows to the team, and I think it's just very, it's very tough for them to front up. But of course they will. But one can only guess how they're feeling right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine what they're doing. Dom, how do you think cricket will carry on now that Shane Warne has passed away?
Look, when I first heard the news, my first thought was they have to cancel the test match. Like, he's like, there's just no way I'd be able to. So, the bravery and the strength of those players to keep playing and play at an elite level is just absolutely incredible. And it's a testament to the Australian fighting spirit. So, you just it's a thing that's everyone's saying, but like, Warney would want everyone to just go on and just keep playing cricket because that's what he loved to do. So I think that's the best thing we can do.
Yeah, and I think on that note, we might end this tribute to Shane Warne. It's been a difficult few days. I think for everyone that's been involved with cricket, if you're not even involved with cricket, it's we've lost a good Australian. So on behalf of all of us at the Inner Sanctum, we say rest in peace, Shane Warne. Dom, let's change the subject. Let's get into a bit of NRL. Your home game, I guess. There's something you love. Tell us a bit about this week. It's all kicking off.
Yeah, so on a much brighter note, obviously rugby league's back, and I'm absolutely buzzing. There's so many different storylines heading into this season. We've got the Premier's Penrith kicking off the season against Tom Trbojevich's Manly Sea Eagles, so it's going to be an absolute cracker to start off the season. And then, I'm just so excited. I could be talking for hours about it.
Give us someone that to look out for. Who is a team that a lot of people that are like rugby league fans that could surprise a few this year?
Well, I'm 100% biased here, but it is a common thought in the NRL. But my team, the St. George Illawarra Dragons, the bookies' favourite to finish dead last, but showed a bit of hope in the trials. Got a good young core coming through, local juniors, absolutely outstanding 5'8" and fullback Tyrell Sloan and Junior Amone. So the Dragons, odds-on favourite to finish last, I think could be a sneaky chance to make finals.
And the Adelaide Rams, how are they looking?
Yeah, look, the Rams recruited well in the off season, and them and the Western Force, they're coming on strong. The Gold Coast Seagulls look great as well. The Hunter Mariners, so it'll be a big season for those four clubs.
So, Dom, while we're on the subject of the Rams, what side are you taking in the ARL versus Super League war?
Well, as a rugby league traditionalist, I'm going to stick with my boys, the New South Wales Rugby League. I think the Super League's got to get lost. You know, these clubs, some of these players, they're signing, they're old, they're washed up, they're signing Greg Alexander and all these terrible players. New South Wales Rugby League to us.
Oh, that's funny. I've rated that one for myself. I won't lie. Gratz, give us a bit on Melbourne Storm, mate. You're a personal favourite of them, so give us a bit on that.
Yeah, well, obviously, like many Storm fans, I was incredibly disappointed to have ended the season in the prelim final after completing I believe it was a record winning streak during the year. Like, it just feels very, like it didn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things because it didn't even make the grand final. But, they rebound, they come back. And I just got the feeling that they were always thereabouts. That's what the rugby league traditionalists always seem to hate. That the Melbourne Storm were always thereabouts. Am I right, Dom?
100%. I didn't, I'm a proud member of Western Sydney. I've been here my whole life. So that bias aside, I absolutely loved Penrith winning the grand final and sticking it to the Storm. It was great, honestly. Just my whole childhood, from being a 7-year-old kid to now a 21-year-old adult, spend the Storm winning. So, you know what? As long as they lose, I'm a happy NRL fan.
Jeez, if the Melbourne Storm are making a prelim and winning it, what that feels like, I don't know, because Port Adelaide seemed to lose some prelims. And Gratz, we had the Amy game, on the weekend. Just quickly, a bit of AFL. How did you feel about the few teams that played over the weekend? Who stood out for you?
Well, it's got to be Carlton. I mean, the Carlton to get a win over last year's reigning premiers obviously will raise some eyebrows. Of course, everybody will be looking back and thinking, is this the same old Carlton or is this an actual decent nucleus? And I think they might actually do have one, because a Carlton midfield, bar Sam Walsh, and I believe 4 blokes, maybe 5, who got 30 touches or more. And that's just, you add Sam Walsh in there, if they can even get to, say, 25 an average, right? That will make so much difference to the side, and it will mean their forwards are always getting supply, and hopefully they can actually kick a winning score.
Yeah, completely agree. I think they look very dangerous, especially in that second quarter. I mean, I didn't like too much the 50-metre penalties that kept being paid, and I think that's going to be another thing that a few AFL fans are going to get pretty annoyed about going into this season. But the one other team that did stand out for me as well was Gold Coast, only recently just beating Geelong up at Metricon. They've beaten Port Adelaide in the pracky match, so it doesn't count, so don't worry about that. But beating Geelong, Gaming Community Series, are they set up for something a little bit more than people think?
It's going to be tough to say. The loss of Ben King will hurt them massively, but I give say everybody's starting from the same place. And I'm not saying Gold Coast are going to make finals, because it's pretty ballsy to say something like that. But let's see how they go. Let's see how they go round one. And same to every team, from Geelong to all the way down to North Melbourne. Let's just see how they go round one. Admittedly, North Melbourne, I think, gave my boys a bit of a fright in our Amy Community Series match. And a 5-goal win to us, I think, was probably more than fitting, given where the two teams are at the time, at the present moment.
Yeah, I'd say the same about Port and the Crows. So I think we're in good stead going into 2022. Just quickly before we wrap up, premiership tip for the AFL this year.
I can't go past Melbourne. To me, it just doesn't look like they. I mean, what we also have to remember is that Melbourne backline that played in the Amy Community Series was missing Stephen May. Like, that's one of their most important people. So you get him back in, and frankly, I don't think there's much injury concerns for the Ds, which is always nice to have. And their grand final, like that second half, is just unbelievable. I'm still in shock about what I saw that night. And if they can bring that type of fire in the finals of all places, then good luck, I say.
Yeah, completely agree. Dom, give us a tip for the NRL Premiership.
I'm gonna say the Sydney Roosters are gonna win in a grand final against the Panthers, but I'd like to make an AFL prediction. I don't watch much AFL.
Oh, here we go.
I haven't watched AFL since Barry Hall was kicking about for the Swans, but I want to say I think Carlton will surprise a few people this season.
Oh, I thought you were going to say GWS because you like down the Greater Western Sydney.
No, I'm still a Swans fan somewhat. I know Buddy Franklin. Don't worry about that. But yeah, I think Carlton might push deep into the finals and shock everyone.
I love that tip. And on
You're gonna look like a genius, Dom, if it comes up.
That's it.
That's why he wants it. He wants to clip this moment and he'll post it at the end of the year and say, I know AFL. Well, boys, it's been a pleasure to do the whip around this week with you two. Dom, thank you very much for joining us for the debut.
Thank you for having me. Great show.
And Gratz, it's good to have you again. I'm sure you'll be in my DMs after this to tell me that you should be on again.
Yeah, might go and check and see if there's something there now.
Thanks, boys. Everyone, thank you so much for joining the Wednesday Whip Around. Subscribe to the Inner Sanctum YouTube channel and check out everyone's great articles and content that we see online across all social medias and the website as well. We'll see you next time.